68,000. Now, if you're a software engineer, you know that getting stars on GitHub is a literal badge of honor. I mean, getting just a few hundred means you've built something incredibly useful, right? But 68,000 stars in just 90 days, that is a total seismic event. And that's exactly what happened when developer Matt Pocock open-sourced his Claude folder. We're not talking about a massive new application here or some complex new programming language. Nope, just a folder of files. So today, we're going to look at the sheer magnitude of this repository's explosion and really dig into why it is fundamentally changing how we write code. Let's dive right into this explainer. We're going to discover why real, everyday engineers are eagerly throwing out those heavy, complex AI frameworks just to copy a folder of simple text files. We are literally witnessing the start of the Markdown Revolution. It's this massive paradigm shift away from what we call vibe coding and moving towards a much more rigorous, developer-controlled approach using these modular things called skills. First up, the 68K star mystery. Just to put those numbers into perspective, it actually took the massive framework Next.js 3 entire years to hit the numbers this repo hit in a single quarter. So let's peek under the hood and see what's actually inside it. What's truly fascinating here is the absolute, almost shocking simplicity. When you open Pocock's repository, you don't find thousands of lines of dense execution code. It is literally just a directory of folders, categorized into things like engineering, productivity, personal, miscellaneous. And inside those folders, more folders. And inside those, a single Markdown file named skill.md. Seriously, that's it. There is zero runtime. There's no orchestrator telling everything what to do. There is no bloated 12-agent hierarchy. It is pure, plain Markdown text that your AI coding agent simply reads on demand. Moving on to part 2, the end of vibe coding. Because let's be honest, we were all promised absolute magic with AI, but the daily reality for engineers, well, it's actually become incredibly frustrating. Let's walk through this vicious cycle. A loop that Pocock so accurately dubs vibe coding. You probably know it well. Step 1, we type a kind of vague request into our IDE. Step 2, the agent takes a wild guess at what we mean. Step 3, the agent confidently ships the completely wrong thing. Step 4, we realize the error, sigh, and try to fix our prompt. And step 5, the agent just guesses harder, often breaking something completely unrelated in the process. It's exhausting, right? Well, Pocock's entire repository, this whole folder of skills, is specifically built to kill this exact loop, just dead in its tracks. Section 3, Frameworks versus Skills. Let's do a direct comparison of the bloated solutions we've been using against this brand new, incredibly lightweight paradigm. This perfectly illustrates the real David versus Goliath showdown happening in software engineering right now. Think about it. Traditional frameworks give you this entire corporate structure, like 12 specialized agents acting as your product manager, your UX designer, your QA tester, all governed by some invisible orchestrator. Sure, it feels like magic at first, but it comes with immense lock-in. On the flip side, we have the skills approach. It's transparent, it's just Markdown. You can read it, you can fork it to customize it for your own workflow, or you can literally just hit delete. There's absolutely no lock-in and no hidden magic. The whole shebang is entirely within your control. Let's actually look at the landscape for a second. We have absolute giants out there. SpecKit has 93,000 stars and dictates behavior via this rigid constitution file. Then there's GSD, Get Stuff Done, with 61,000 stars, but it's a highly opinionated framework completely locked to Claude code. BMAT has 46,000 stars and uses that super heavy 12 specialized agent approach we just talked about. Pocock's whole thesis is that these big frameworks effectively own your process. They give you the methodology, but when something inevitably breaks, you have absolutely no clue which hidden layer of the AI you're supposed to fix. Pocock's repo, with just simple Markdown, has already beaten 2 of these massive frameworks in popularity. Why? Because developers desperately want their agency back. All right, Section 4, Engineering Better Code Quality. Let's get into the nitty-gritty and see how these super simple skills actually enforce rigorous, top-tier engineering standards. Listen to this quote, pulled directly from Pocock's most used skill file, which is called /grillme. It literally instructs the AI, interview me relentlessly until we reach a shared understanding. How cool is that? When you use this, the agent stops being this polite, eager-to-please yes man. It walks every single branch of your decision tree and absolutely forces you to answer the tough questions. It introduces this amazing positive friction. It demands real commitment and absolute clarity from the engineer before a single line of code ever gets written. It ensures you're actually building the right thing the very first time. Then we have Pico's brilliant solution to verbosity, what he calls the single coolest technique in the entire repo, the context.md file. Imagine learning a really hard lesson about a subtle bug in one part of your project, and then the agent immediately goes and makes the exact same mistake somewhere else. Pico calls this the materialization cascade, getting the exact same bug with the exact same agent while burning through half your context window tokens. Ouch. By dedicating a specific spot in the file system for a shared language file, the AI learns the unique context of your project globally. It basically solves verbosity and repetition before it even becomes a problem. Now, the absolutely crucial point for the TDD, or test-driven development skill, is how it completely flips testing on its head. Most developers kind of just let the AI write all the tests at once, and then all the code. Pirco calls this horizontal slicing, writing tests in bulk that really only verify imagined behavior. Well, the TDD skill strictly prohibits this. Instead, it enforces what we call vertical slices. One single test, one single implementation. You get a red failing test, you write the exact code needed to get a green passing test, and then you refactor. It enforces this boring but incredibly reliable tracer bullet approach to software engineering, but actually results in rock-solid, stable code bases. And, when things inevitably do break, there is the diagnose protocol. It outlines 6 really strict phases: reproduce the bug, minimize the surface area, form a hypothesis, instrument the code to test it, implement the fix, and finally run a regression test. But here is the secret sauce. The absolute magic relies heavily on phase 1. If you build the right feedback loop to confidently reproduce the bug right out of the gate, honestly, the issue is already 90% fixed. And to make absolutely sure you nail that phase 1, Piscao actually ranks 10 different ways to build that feedback loop. Right at the very top, number 1, the absolute highest priority, is a fully automated failing test. And all the way at the bottom, ranked as number 10 and the absolute break glass in case of emergency last resort, is driving a human with a bash script. The skill deliberately keeps the AI's focus entirely on automated, reliable failing tests over messy, unpredictable manual intervention. Okay, moving to section 5, using skills in real work. Let's finally close the loop here and look at actual real-world implementation. Now, you might be sitting there wondering, wait, do I just have to manually copy and paste all these text files? No way. Pico completely understood that distribution is a feature all on its own. So he shipped a single, super simple installer command. You just run it, it lets you pick exactly which skills you want, asks which agent you prefer, whether you're using Claude Code, Cursor, or Codex, and it automatically wires them directly into your IDE. Bam. There's no magic, no bloated dependencies, just an instant, seamless integration of high-quality engineering standards straight into your personal workspace. Which brings us to our final thought. Look, if you're using an AI coding assistant today without this approach, you are very likely running this pattern badly, basically just letting the AI guess its way blindly through your codebase. Skills, these simple, super readable Markdown files, are effectively the new package.json for AI behavior. The catalog is the artifact. So the question I want to leave you with today is this: are you going to curate your skills to enforce your own engineering standards, or are you just going to wait around until some bloated framework curates them for you?